Welcome to the School District of Springfield Township Board of School Directors virtual board meeting for August 4th, 2020. This is a call to order for this meeting. My name is Jeff Bedard. I'm the Vice President of the board, filling in for Dr. Karen Taratuski, who is out of town. I do want to start with a quick comment because we have an incredible number of attendees tonight. And so I wanted to acknowledge that. One, that on behalf of the board, I'm really pleased to see so many community members engaged in this meeting and wanting to take part in the decisions that we make as a board relative to the district. There are two topics that were brought to the board's attention from community members, and both are critically important. So we are going to open up a comment section at the end of the meeting where anyone from the community who wants to raise your hand, I'll pick on the hands that are raised and we'll hear comments. The two topics, one is regarding some concerns on tolerance, equity, and inclusion and the experience of some of our children, alumni, and staff and teachers in the school. As I hope the community knows, equity and inclusion is a core focus for us as a district and is a core concern for us as a board to ensure that we are including equitable practices in the school district. So we look forward to hearing comments from the community on any concerns there so that we can address them with the administration. Secondly, I believe most of the attendance tonight is driven by the key decision on whether or not we get kids back in school or how we are treating the education of our children as we head back into the school year, given the environment of COVID-19. This is obviously an incredibly serious topic, incredibly important that we get it right. It's also incredibly complex. So we do look forward to hearing comments from anyone in the community who wants to share your opinion. I will tell you that my opinion is our administration has gone above and beyond to make sure that we are addressing not only the input and concerns from the community, but good dialogue with this board and with the administration and staff on figuring out how we get our kids back into school, but paramount to that, how do we get them into schools safely? And if we can't do that safely, the decisions that we have to make to ensure that we educate our children and keep them safe. I will tell you that Dr. Hacker is going to be reviewing the process to getting to a final decision during her administrative report. We do look forward to comments. We are not going to be able to do a lot of Q&A on this topic, but Dr. Hacker will talk about how we are making sure that we're getting all of the input from the community as we can. So with that, I do want to set some protocols for the comments at the end of the meeting, just so that everyone knows how this goes. We're going to go through the normal business updates for the school district, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. We've decided that we want to make sure that everyone who wants to share their perspective has the opportunity to speak, so we're not going to cut off the meeting. We'll continue to hear input from you as long as required. That being said, we want to make sure everybody does get a chance, so we're going to limit comments, and this is a standard limit we put on comments of 3 minutes per person. And would love for you guys to share your opinion, but keep it concise, and we'll make sure that we're fully focused on you. And we've asked our administrator, Ken King, to keep time so that we'll all have the opportunity to speak. And so I will stop speaking now so that we can actually get through the business and get to the comment section as well. We'll start with a reading of the mission statement. The mission of the school district of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, responsible in a changing global community. Mr. King, if we could do roll call.
You.
Mr. Bedard.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Atlin.
Here.
Ms. Jordan.
Here.
Mr. Lapidus.
Present.
Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Ms. Sarsfield.
Here.
Ms. Slapinski.
Here.
Dr. Taratuski.
Very good. Do we have public comments on items that are on the agenda? Does not appear so. I'm in the chat here. Rich, is that the right place to be looking for any hands raised?
No, you would need to open the participants list at the bottom
Got it.
and go to attendees, and we do have one hand raised from Kirsten Gibson-Cooper.
All right. Kirsten, we can go ahead and unmute you. If this is the comment that you wanted to talk through on some of your concerns on social equality and racial equality, we're going to hold that to the end.
Hi, good evening. Kirsten Gibson-Cooper here. I did get a chance to preview your agenda this evening, and my comments are both related to issues of race and equity in the school district of Springfield Township, as well as related to the agenda items regarding personnel. Is it okay if I proceed?
Yeah, certainly. I would limit it to the personnel topic. And then I can assure you we'll come right back to you for the non-agenda comment as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to proceed. I think just to give context around how this is related to personnel, I'm going to take a moment to share out the letter that I did address to the board members, and then I'll go into the specific concerns that are related to the agenda items that you have on personnel this evening. And so the letter that I shared is, I'm an alumna of Springfield Township High School, class of 2009, Springfield Township Middle School, and Springfield Township's elementary school at Enfield. And I'm writing to you all today requesting to speak at the board meeting, which is right now, to present the issues outlined below that I'll talk about in just a moment, and to begin a conversation on how they can be addressed. The following Instagram account was brought to my attention, Black at Springfield. You can find it at instagram.com/blackatsspringfield. And as a Black woman, as a current middle school principal and an alumni of the Springfield Township School District, I'm deeply concerned about the physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being of your Black, Indigenous, students of color, and staff members. And the Black at Springfield Instagram account states that its purpose is to share the stories of Black people of color Springfield in the school district of Springfield Township and the alumni, and that the stories are submitted to them via the direct message feature on Instagram. And reading each of the stories posted on their account leaves me with pain and fear and outrage and anguish in my heart. And while each of the stories posted are powerful, the following are the most salient. For the purpose of this public comment right now and related to personnel, I'll lift up the concerns that are specifically related to personnel issues. So first, this post was from June 30th. I moved to Springfield in 5th grade and was placed in remedial academic classes for ELA and math. These classes were small and the majority students of color, even though most of Springfield is white. I got A's on every test. Those classes were too easy. Eventually, after several meetings my mom had with staff members or personnel at Springfield, I was moved to grade 5th classes. It was a bittersweet feeling, even though the work was more my speed. I felt so out of place being the only Black person in class. I was scared to raise my hand, and I felt as though the teacher did not interact with me the same as they would with the white kids in the classroom. The second issue that I want to raise, also on the Black at Springfield account that's directly related to your agenda items this evening on personnel, is what was posted on July 7th. When I was a senior in high school, I had a big problem with the guidance counselor. She took her time sending in my applications for college and getting my letter of recommendations together. It was like she was trying to sabotage me. She would dismiss me for the white kid knocking on the door. The third issue that I would like to lift up from this account that's directly related to the agenda item tonight on personnel was the post on the account from July 8th. It says, this past school year, there were 3 Black students in my honors U.S. history class. 2 Black girls, including me, sat in the back of the class surrounded by white students. One particularly vocal white male student I sat next to would repeatedly say, Nick, grr. And his white friends would laugh while the other Black girl and I would look at each other uncomfortably. The fourth issue that I would like to raise related to personnel was posted on July 20th on this account. It says, at Springfield, there's a lack of Black history. We learn multiple times over World War I, World War II, the founding of America, etc. However, No teacher teaches about apartheid or British and French colonialism or Black folks' role in the creation of America. Further, we learn about slavery, but only from the perspective of white folks. Additionally, we do not learn how slavery's legacy affects today. In conversations at Springfield, students believe slavery has little impact on today and don't see the problem with the N-word and don't know basic history, etc. The last piece that I would like to lift up from the account was posted on July 28th. During my middle school graduation ceremony, my teacher touched my ponytail and said, "That's not all yours, is it?" She then started laughing. All my middle school self could do was uncomfortably laugh with her. That concludes the post from the account. And on this, I want to say, as a former student in your district for the entirety of my K-12 schooling, each and every one of the stories posted is a reminder of the distressing and traumatizing experiences that I went through. This Instagram account has both been...
Excuse me, I just want to note that I understand you're trying to create a nexus between the personnel agenda items and your comments, which are very serious and I understand are very important to you and to the school board, but they really do belong at the end of the meeting because our personnel items on the agenda do not have any bearing on your middle school experience in question. So I would strongly...
I just want to just interject for a second. These are not my experiences that I'm reading from. These are the experiences from the Instagram account that was brought to my attention that I'm lifting up. And I will say, if you do want me to directly go there on the list of personnel approvals, could you please speak to the hiring process for the folks that you hired?
Ms. Gibson Cooper, let me jump in. I didn't want to cut you off at all because what you have brought to our attention and your experience as well is critically important that we hear it. This isn't the best forum for dialogue and Q&A. I do think there are a series of forums that we have created as a district, including an Equitable Practices Committee, which has a meeting coming up in September. Key item on the agenda for September's meeting is actually looking at curriculum. And I will also reinforce that our hiring practices are also a key element of the work that we've done in diversity and inclusion, both as a board and the administration on thinking through how we're actually improving the situation in the district. Sufficient hopefully for me to say you are heard. We appreciate that you reached out with a letter. We're way over time on the comment here. I would love to give you the opportunity just to conclude, but we're going to have to move into the agenda if that's okay.
That is okay for now. I will conclude this piece, and then towards the end of the meeting, when there is a greater public comment, I hope that I can add some pieces there. My questions were specifically, can you speak to how you screened the hires on for personnel for anti-racist and anti-bias mindsets? The next is some data from the Department of Education from the Civil Rights Data Collection. From 2015 states that the school district of Springfield Township, specifically the high school, is 69% white, 18% Black, 4% Hispanic, 4% Asian, and 4% of two or more races. But then when you look at that data comparative to the percentage of students enrolled in the gifted and talented program, it's nearly 88% white, 3% Black, 2% Hispanic. And can you speak to the personnel and those decisions that are made and how to enroll students into your gifted and talented program, and why Black students make up only about a fifth of your total student enrollment, but they don't even make up a 10th of your enrollment in gifted and talented programs? And this second piece that is directly related to personnel, and then I'll end here, is around in-school suspensions. And as I named earlier, why do Black students make up only 18% of your total student enrollment and nearly 65% of your in-school suspensions from this data from the Civil Rights Data Collection from the Department of Education in 2015? as well as when you combine that data for Black and Hispanic students, they make up nearly a quarter or 25% of your student body, but 75% of your in-school suspensions. So I do have some questions related to personnel there and how these in-school suspensions are warranted and what that process looks like, but I'll conclude my comment for now.
Great. Ms. Gibson Cooper, thank you. And again, I think for protocols for the rest of the meeting, I just want to be exceptionally clear. We have 209 attendees, so I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to speak. So we are going to have to limit comments to a 3-minute window. The thing I'll say in response here is, again, this isn't the best place for dialogue. I think what we are noting is that you have questions, right? The comment is, do we have sufficient protocols in place for our hiring practices to ensure that our hiring, as well as how we are teaching through curriculum, is aware of and focused on equitable practices. And I can assure you that that is a high priority for the administration. We've met in our retreat a year and a half ago and reviewed the exact data that you are talking through right now, are aware that progress needs to be made, and it is a high priority. So again, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it.
Mr. Bedard, would you like me to provide at 30 seconds remaining, just a reminder during when people are speaking that they now have 30 seconds? I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you, Ken. All right. So with that, I think we are going to move into reports and information.
Excuse me, you have Jennifer Morrissey, I believe, has her hand up for agenda items.
Great. Jennifer, go ahead.
Please
No, I
remember
don't.
to state, excuse me, please remember to state your name and address, please.
I'm sorry, I do not have my hand up. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We'll put you back on mute.
Thank you.
Technology is part of the new normal. All right. So moving on to reports and information, let's head over to the property committee and Gretchen Slipinski.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you virtually and hear all of you a little bit later. We had a property committee Zoom meeting on July 29th at 8:30 a.m. During that meeting, we got updates on the Enfield athletic fields. We are in discussion currently with the township regarding the requirements for land development approvals to raise the old Enfield building and proceed with our plans to repurpose that area into athletic fields and some community spaces. We also reviewed and revised the field house plans for that property. I think that we are pretty close to a decision on what that facility is going to look like. And as far as schedule goes, at this time it is unknown. If you recall previously, we had put on hold moving forward with that project in case we should need the old Enfield building to be able to space out our student population in the effort to get kids back in school this fall. So as of right now, we have not revised that schedule. We received an update on the new Enfield school. It reached substantial completion on July 15th. The teachers' materials have been moved into the new school and placed in the classrooms. Currently, they're working on completing mechanical systems, life safety and technology systems, as well as the new gym floor. Exterior site work is still going on. That will be the last to be completed, but our expectation is that it will be completed before school opening. Unfortunately, the furniture delivery has been held up a little bit because of COVID, but I believe that we're still expecting to receive that furniture in time. And the final inspections to obtain certificate of occupancy are being scheduled. We got an update on the high school renovations. There's still an ongoing punch list just to close out all the documents with the general contractor. And the last piece of the puzzle for that is the stadium press box and bleacher painting still need to be completed. And that was our property committee. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's head over to Dr. Hacker for administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Bedard. Well, welcome everyone. As Mr. Bedard had said previously, it's highly unusual for us to see so many people interested in coming out to a board meeting, but we are thrilled that so many are here. We know we have several topics of conversation that certainly can arise, but one probably and most likely is weighing on the minds of many of you, as it is weighing on our minds as well. So I want to take that topic, and that is the question of whether or not we will be opening our schools or going to an all virtual option, and address some of the related issues to that at this time. This may end up responding to some of the questions that you had been intending to answer at the end of the meeting, but if not, we know that you have that forum if there are additional questions you'd like to be asking. I do want to take this opportunity to thank many of you who have already sent both myself as well as the board members emails expressing your thoughts and your questions about this issue. It's great to hear from all of you. We know that everyone is anxious to have a decision made. But making this, as Jeff said, very complex decision requires a lot of information so that we don't just issue a knee-jerk reaction. We want to make sure that any decision that we make is one that has a solid rationale behind it and is a well-informed decision as well. So I want to share some of the information that we have been gathering throughout the course of the summer, which would have enabled us to come to an ultimate decision. And I also want to share our timeline with you. So as many of you know, earlier in the summer, I held focus groups for parents as well as staff members for each of our school buildings. Most of those meetings had approximately 150 to 160 people in attendance. So we were able to get a very good range of comments and thoughts that individuals expressed, as well as questions. That information was very beneficial to all of us, including the administrative staff, as we work to try to devise possible solutions. Since the time of the focus groups, I know many of our principals have also enlisted not only collaboration from other administrators in the district, but also from their own staff members to try to come together and to discuss how could we safely reopen if that, in fact, was going to be the direction that we were going to pursue. So a lot of time and effort has been spent already throughout the summer, including hearing the voices of many of our own staff members who work and teach in our schools in order to try to figure all of this out. Yesterday and today, I met with staff members from each one of our 4 schools and asked if our principals could review with them the current plans that they have put into place in order to try to open up schools successfully. So we spent about an hour and a half with each of the faculty groups discussing what those plans were, listening to their questions, addressing their concerns as well. And what I shared with them was that tomorrow I will be putting messaging out to our entire parent community that contains the same information that the staff received in these meetings yesterday and today about the details for opening up the schools. So essentially what you will hear is, and this is due primarily to the need for lowering class size and enabling social distancing, that at the middle school and the high school, we will be on a hybrid schedule where half the school is in 2 days a week. The other half of the school comes in the other 2 days a week, with 1 day for completely virtual instruction for 100% of the students. Again, that's at both the middle school and the high school. At the elementary levels at both Enfield and Erdenheim, you will be hearing about plans for opening up schools 5 days a week for our elementary aged children. At Erdenheim, classes will also be split in half, and at Enfield, we will have full class sizes. As many of you know, class sizes at the kindergarten, first and second grade level tend to be smaller anyway. You'll hear more details about that tomorrow. Then, as many of you know, you have already taken the time to fill out the survey that we sent out to our families. As of this morning, we had 1,300 responses to the survey. And I can share with you what our results are so far. Remember, the survey is not 1,000% accurate. A survey is just trying to get a sense of what people are thinking. It's only one piece of the puzzle and one piece of the total amount of information that we have been gathering. So it is not a be-all and end-all. So through the survey, we are able to see who responded and what their thoughts are at this particular time. What we know as of today is that out of the 1,300 responses, approximately 70% of the respondents have indicated that they would like for their children to be in school. Approximately 24% of respondents have indicated that at this time, they intend on having their children stay home. And we have approximately another 5% who said that they are unsure. We've also broken this data out by grade level. And the reason for doing that is to be able to figure out how many are staying home at each grade level, which will give us an indication of how that will reduce our current class sizes in order to enable greater social distancing. The other piece of data and information that we are closely following is data in the county. I spoke today as part of my regular superintendent's meeting with Dr. Valerie Arkush, one of our commissioners, who is part of the Office of Public Health. And what she has said is that we are at our lowest positivity rate in Montgomery County so far since the pandemic began. At the highest rate in April, when we had approximately 225 cases in the county per day, we were over 11% for our positivity rate. Currently, we are at approximately 55 cases per day, and that number is projected to increase as the summer goes on into approximately 90 cases per day. However, the positivity rate currently is at 3.57%, well under the concerns which begin to mount at 5%. Now, please don't misunderstand. We know there are concerns surrounding any positive case, regardless of where in the county it occurs. I also have been closely monitoring and discussing with my colleagues their plans. And as many of you are well aware, plans have changed for districts and our neighboring districts within the past 2 weeks. Prior to those 2 weeks, 21 school districts in the county, our total number, were planning to fully open. Within the past 2 weeks, that number has changed significantly as more districts have decided to instead go virtual. At the present time, we have 12 districts in our county which will not open and will be virtual. And then I anticipate, based on what my colleagues have shared with me, that we could potentially have 3 or 4 more who this week will also make the decision to go fully virtual. So even though, again, that is not our only means of determining what we will be doing, it is nonetheless, along with all of the other information that I shared with you, a significant piece of the puzzle. Our intention here in the district is to continue to monitor that. We also know that in Chester County, there are 7 districts that have decided to go virtual. In nearby Bucks, 5. And in Delaware County, the decision was made today that all of the districts are going to go 100% virtual for the beginning of the school year. So yes, we are a small district and we are unique in the fact that we can offer a lot because of our size, but nonetheless, we still have classes that have class sizes that are similar to even the North Penns and Abingtons of the world. 25 students in a class is impossible for social distancing. So the plan that we have established by splitting classes is the only way that we can effectively achieve social distances of at least 6 feet in our middle school and our high school. And even at Erdenheim, where we are constrained if we split classes in half with the number of available space in which to put the children, in some of our smaller group settings where they will have to go, there will be less than 6 feet between children's desks. So all of these are important factors for us to consider. Despite the fact that we are a small district, we still are grappling with trying to find enough classrooms to house students if we split classes in order to accomplish social distancing. The other issue that we are seeing from our survey is that so far in each of the grade levels, there are only approximately 1, 2, or 3, in only 2 cases, students who have indicated that they will be staying home. With those numbers, that will not significantly reduce the number of students that we have to consider as we make these decisions regarding class size. And finally, the other piece that I think is very important for everyone to recognize is that while the voices of our families and our parents are exceptionally important to us, and we've tried to provide forums for you to express those ideas, we also highly prize and value what our staff members are saying to us too, as they are the ones that will be on the front lines with students sitting before them in their classes and having to walk through schools with peers and so forth. For many of the staff members, especially those who have taken extraordinary precautions during the period of the pandemic, this could very well be the very first time that they are coming into a situation where they will be close to other individuals. So we want to be mindful of that. Many of our staff members are pregnant or have immunocompromised illnesses. We also have many who are fearful because they have young children at home as well. And obviously, because of either those young children or elderly parents who may be living in the same home, they have concerns about exposure and thereby transmitting disease once they go back into their own homes. So these are all major considerations that we have to consider before we make our decision. Our main goal has always been to open schools. We know that academically and socially and emotionally, this is extraordinarily important for the well-being of our children. We want them to have those critical friendships and social interactions. We want them to be with their teachers. And we know that under ordinary circumstances, teachers would be very excited to welcome students back into class for the opening of a school year as well. But we have to balance all of that with whether or not we truly believe it will be safe for us to do all of these things. So this is the very complex decision that we're hoping to make. For students who stay home, we will have a plan in place if we do open for them to be able to participate in their actual classroom in their own school. And if we go 100% virtual, I do want to assure everyone that this will be real school. Unlike the spring, it will not be a quick reaction to something that was imposed upon us. It will be a well thought out, educationally valuable instructional program for our students. Our staff has also been working in shoring up their own skills in delivering online instruction, including more live synchronous learning, so our students can remain engaged and focused. And students will be held accountable for the work that is expected to be done. So I do want to clarify that in whichever direction we ultimately decide we are going to go, we hope to be able to provide a rigorous and robust instructional program. So just to finalize, I do want to say that our intention is to allow people, after they get more information from me about each school's program and schedule tomorrow, to think some more between tomorrow and over the weekend about your choice, to complete the survey. And again, I remind you that's only one piece of the information and data gathering that we are doing. And I expect to be able to make a decision to recommend to the board at the beginning of next week. And then we will make a determination at that point as to whether or not we as a board want to meet and make that decision vocally next week, or whether we want to hold off with the board voting on that decision at their next regular board meeting on August 18th. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to take this opportunity to share that information with you. I do hope it's at least helped to answer some questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hacker. You guys have been busy.
To say the least.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move into new business and get through the meat of today's agenda. We'll start with a motion number 1, personnel. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment: certificated personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, extended school year program personnel, extra pay for extra responsibilities, conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Mr. King,
Are there any questions or
thank you.
from the board?
Are there any questions or comments, guys, on this one? No, Mr. King.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Atlin,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Lapidus,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman,
Aye.
Ms. Sarsfield,
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Motion has been, motion passes. I think, Mr. Bedard, moving forward, we'll just do a voice vote. That's okay.
Yeah, that would work well. Very good. Motion 2, extended school year agreements with Devereaux, PA Children's IDD Services. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the agreements between Devereaux, PA Children's IDD Services and Springfield Township School District for students 202-008-04-01 and student 202-008-04-02 for the 2020 extended school year program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 3, extended school year agreements with the Camp Hill School. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the agreements between the Camp Hill School and Springfield Township School District for students 202-008-04-03 and 2020-08-04-04 for the 2020 extended school year program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Okay, Mr. King?
As the motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 4, extended school year agreements with Camp Pegasus. Recommended motion, the Board of School Directors approves the agreements between Camp Pegasus and Springfield Township School District for students 2020-0804-05 and 2020-0804-06 for the 2020 extended school year program. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King.
As the motion has been read and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 5, New Hope Academy. Recommended motion, the Board of School Directors approves the tuition contracts between New Hope Academy and Springfield Township School District for the 2020-2021 school year for students 2020-0804-07 and 2020-0804-08. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, change order decreases. Recommended motion, the Board of School Directors approves the following change order decreases for the high school project. 1, change order number EC002 with Fairfield Company for a credit in the amount of $1,882.57 for unused materials. And 2, change order number MC001 with Mciu Mechanical Inc. for a credit in the amount of $19,802.56 for unused material. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I'm sorry, was that Ms. Sarsfield on the second? Thank you.
It is nice to see a change order decrease.
Yes, it is.
Mr. King.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 7, MCIU Regional WAN Services. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the contract with the MCIU for increases to the district's bandwidth at $5,200 per gigabyte connection up to a total of 10 gigabytes of internet capacity, plus additional network fiber upgrades to MCIU at a cost of $8,400. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 8, Zoom Meeting Service Agreement. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the 3-year service agreement with Zoom Video Communication, Inc. to provide 265 Zoom educational licenses and 1 webinar license for the fee of $8,025 per year. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King.
Motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Number 9, proposed school reconfigurations. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the proposed grade reconfigurations as required by PDE for the Enfield and Erdenheim elementary schools. Is there a motion?
Motion.
In a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I would just like to clarify that what we're talking about here is we're moving second grade to the Enfield school.
That
So,
is correct. Whenever you either have a new building in the district or you are changing the grade levels between buildings, you must have that approved by PDE,
okay, thank you.
Pennsylvania Department of Education.
I thought that was it, but I didn't want to get it wrong. Very good. Mr. King.
I just want to, not sure, one other clarification, we're actually moving first and second to a new building as well.
Okay,
And and that requires the naming of a new numbering system. So it's moving first and second from Old Enfield to the new building, and then second grade from Erdenheim over to the new building.
so K1 is moving,
K1,
moving out of Erdenheim.
old
Okay.
Erdenheim, old school, into a new Erdenheim, changing its location.
Enfield,
Enfield, sorry.
moving out of the old Enfield
Sorry.
into the new one.
I got a bad eye. I don't know what I'm saying. Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Bedard?
I think that's all the comments and
Call
questions.
for the vote, Ken.
Ready to vote.
Okay. Motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Number 10, MCIU Learning Network Library. Recommended motion. The Board of School Directors approves the agreement with the MCIU for the purchase of the MCIU Learning Network Library for 1 year at a cost of $22.50 per user for a total of $5,625. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All right, we're good, Mr. King.
Motion read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, that concludes our new business. We're going to move into the public comment section for non-agenda items. And let me just reiterate quickly the protocols for us to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to speak. When called upon, we'll unmute, make it so that you can unmute. Please keep comments to 3 minutes or less. State your name and address so that we have that for the public record. And again, we won't be using this session as a Q&A or a dialogue. The intent is for us to hear public comment. And the commitment of the board and the administration is that we will take those comments and it will be an input for decision making. And if appropriate or required, we will respond in a future forum. So appreciate everybody playing along.
Mr. Bedard, did you want to have certain comments if they were about equity in district first and then go into the COVID related questions? Did you want to separate that out at all?
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. So I do know that there were others that wanted to speak on the topic of equitable practices. So if we could start there in the participant list, and I'm just going to go from the top down. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so again, we're going to try and start with any comments on equitable practices, and then we can switch over to comments on other topics. I'm clicking on participants and attendees, and I see one hand up for Joshua Williams.
Hi. Appreciate you picking me for the hand raising. Joshua Williams at 868 Bridle Lane. Basically, I'm trying to bring to the board's attention that I'm basically a representative of the NAACP youth group that has been working towards curriculum reform. Inside our 10th grade history books, we found this specific paragraph that we just wanted to bring to the board's attention to start off with. It reads as follows: and the failure to perform up to expectations could lead to whipping, but the particular institution, as Southerners came to call it, like all human institutions, should not be oversimplified. While there are cruel masters who maimed and killed their slaves, although killing and maiming were illegal in every state's laws, there was also kind and generous owners. The institution was as complex as the people involved. Though most slaves were whipped at some point in their lives, a few never felt the lash, nor did all slaves work in the field. Some were house servants or skilled artisans. Many may not have even been terribly unhappy with their lot, or they knew no other, but certain others were, as Nat Turner's Revolution revealed. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, this is currently within your 10th grade history books that you teach at the moment. Our group has been at a few meetings, as I'm sure you guys are aware, and we have been constantly bringing up the fact that we seek to actually have curriculum change. And in that process, I know you guys have expressed that there is supposed to be a meeting on September 9th. I would like to, confirm what the date is for that meeting. But the more pressing issue is this. When we have been going for the past month or so, looking in depth into our curriculum and found that there is a proliferation of, for lack of a better term, sanitization of our history and curriculum. Oftentimes we see many tangential links to ideologies of people such as the Daughters of the Confederacy that actively tried to change and misinform the American student body so that it was unaware of the actual repercussions of slavery and the extending outreach of that action. Throughout my own personal education, I know that we've talked immensely about Nazis, immensely about Islamic extremism, and we always seem to gloss over the internment camps that were created in America, sharecropping, massacres, and state terrorism.
Mr. Williams, you have 30 seconds remaining.
Understood. And here is the basic principle that I want to get to. I know that this board has expressed again that the September meetings are where curriculum is supposed to happen. But with the actionable motions that I see you guys making, we are coming to ask for, are you guys willing or able to support us in actually having motionable actions and actionable items towards us changing the curriculum? I know some of my colleagues will bring in more questions, but that is my basic concern, is that I feel as though the board says, we hear you, but we don't actually want to support or do anything towards actually changing it. And that would be in the form of an
Mr. Williams, your time has expired.
Appreciate
So let
it.
me
Thank you.
just address Josh's question. And Josh, thank you for bringing to the board's attention the specifics within the textbook. And I applaud you and the student group for actually taking the time to examine texts that are currently being used and advocating for change in terms of the information that's being provided in those textbooks. It's my understanding that Dr. Yannicone, our current assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, is scheduled to meet with a group from the youth leadership group of the NAACP to discuss curriculum and to also talk about some of the curriculum revision work that has already been undergoing in the district. So I just want to assure you that when you discuss actionable items or actionable steps, many actionable steps have already been taken. And I believe that Dr. Yannicone's purpose in coming before that meeting, she was requested to do so by Ms. Sarsfield, is to share that information with your group so that you all can gain a better understanding of the work that has been taking place in the district with respect to curriculum revision. That information is also going to be shared with teachers who have been involved in the curriculum revision process, particularly in social studies and English language arts, at our September meeting. The date has not been selected, we've been a little bit busy with a few other things, but we will be announcing that date shortly.
My one final question, Dr. Hacker, is more so just, does this board have the power to have actionable items that you motioned similar to what we did earlier on things like that?
Josh, when we make changes to curriculum revision and curriculum development are approved by the board, yes.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
And let me use this opportunity, one, to thank you, Mr. Williams, for a well-crafted comment and the clarity of the point you were making. And I want to remind Dr. Hacker that we set up protocols that we're not going to do dialogue on every question. So I'm kidding, of course, Dr. Hacker.
Sorry.
No,
I just wanted to answer. He raised a good point. I just wanted to respond, but
it was a
you're
good one.
correct.
But we're supportive of the work that the Youth Leadership Group is doing for the NAACP. So please keep it up, and we want to continue to hear your voices in these meetings. So thank you for your comment. Let's move to Candace Harrison.
Hello, my name is Candace Harrison. I live in Orland, Pennsylvania, and I'm part of the NAACP Youth Leadership Group as well. And I'm just here to ask questions backed up by Josh's opening statement. So here's just an overview of them. First question is about the textbook. Is there going to be a new textbook that replaces this one and others like it? Also, what other textbooks specifically will be replaced?
Candace, let's do this if you're okay, because this is intended to be a comment section. If you want to run through the questions, we'll document them as comments. Essentially, like the phrasing I would say is you would like to know that the language and/or textbook would be replaced. That we'll
yeah, that's basically, yeah.
Great. Yeah, if you could walk us through any of the comments that you want to do, but we won't be able to get into specific Q&A on this one, if that makes sense.
Okay. And one of my other associates or colleagues is Gabby. She has other questions as well about this topic too, if you want to add to the comments.
Yeah, we'll do. And Ms. Harrison, is that everything that you wanted to go over?
No,
okay.
We had a couple more questions.
Yeah, you can continue. You have a little bit more time.
Okay. Also, is it possible for us to be given a curriculum plan or be a part of the curriculum team to see where changes can be made? If so, when can we know about that? Also, can you add a link to the curriculum plan in the chat? That's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. And we can move to Ms. Green.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for your time.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Hello, my name is Gabrielle Green. I live in Orland, Pennsylvania. I would like the board to elaborate on the curriculum process involving teachers. What company guides them through curriculum training? What does this curriculum process entail?
Great. It's a great question. And what I think we can do here, Dr. Hacker, is as part of that September meeting on curriculum, if we could talk a little bit about the development of curriculum process.
Yeah, I think all of these questions really show that there's a great curiosity around how curriculum is developed, how curriculum is selected. So I think at that September meeting, if all of you can hopefully come, we'll make sure we get that date out to everyone. We can go into a lengthy discussion about how that process unfolds.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for attending. Really appreciate it. All right, are there other comments on equitable practices? Ms. Gibson-Cooper.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, hi, and thank you again for just letting me finish this point that I wanted to make. Is around, just for clarity, has there ever been an external organization that conducted an equity audit of Springfield Township School District?
Actually, we had planned to do that this current school year. Both myself and Dr. McLaurin, one of our elementary principals, participated in an equity audit in the Westchester School District, and we came back, described our experiences to the rest of our administrative team, and recommended that we conduct an equity audit within our own district. So we are considering that for the coming year, yes.
That's so great to hear. Thank you for that. Have you considered possible organizations to conduct this equity audit?
That's one of the things, Kirsten, that we have to look at. We know that the one that was done in Westchester was done primarily by the Delaware Valley Consortium for Equity and Excellence. We are members of that group. So that's one possibility, but we haven't finalized our research on that yet.
Got it. Thank you. And I would just urge that while it's great to hear that you are part of that organization, to urge that it be done from an external partner to really allow for that vulnerability from and honesty from all its stakeholders, specifically its students, its family, its faculty, and its staff.
That is how they conduct their equity audit. What they do is they bring in other individuals from other areas in order to actually do the audit so that it is objective.
Got it. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Good. I appreciate your comment. All right, Stephen McGuire is next on the list.
Hello, Stephen McGuire, 28 McCloskey Road, Flowertown. The two topics regarding this period are interrelated in a deep and meaningful way. In the beginning comment period, the speaker mentioned that an achievement and representation gap between majority and minority students. Those gaps are real, significant, and frankly inexcusable for a district with the resources that we have at our disposal. On the other hand, simply put, virtual learning is a poor substitute for in-class instruction. That is especially the case at the younger grades, where students lack the emotional and intellectual maturity for self-direction. It is at these grade levels that our teachers have the greatest potential for meaningful interactions that can overcome all of the challenges facing our students, and especially our students of color. If we are serious as a community about addressing these gaps, then we cannot be serious about eliminating most effective means of eliminating them. In-person instruction. A failure to have in-person instruction 5 days a week is a failure by this board to live up to its mission statement, to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. But it is especially a failure to live up to its mission to our Black and minority students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. I don't see other hands raised. Other comments?
Mr. Bedard, if you don't mind my saying so, I'm going to ask, I see that there are some questions in the chat, some of which are personal to the individuals, which is why I'm assuming the reason for putting it into the chat rather than verbalizing them. I'm going to ask if Mr. Oliver can please make sure that we get a copy of those questions in the chat so that we can respond individually to those individuals and make sure that they have answers to their questions.
I will have them, Dr. Hecker. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great call out. Thank you. We have 2 more hands up. So let's go to Sarah Berman, please.
Hi, can you all hear me?
We can. Hello.
Hi, wonderful. My name's Sarah Berman, and I am at 8617 Trumbauer Drive in Winmore. And I'm a teacher in a neighboring school district, and my comment is short. I didn't plan to speak, but Dr. Hacker, and listening to you speak so eloquently about the difficulty of the decision with virtual learning versus going back to school, I just want to say how much I appreciate the way that you spoke about the value that you place in the staff's opinion and the feeling of the staff and the risks that the staff are taking to go into the schools every day. I'm a parent in the school district, and as much as I would love for my kids to have in-person instruction, the most important thing is safety, and I just really appreciate how you clearly honor your staff. And so I thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Great. Thank you for that comment. Lisa Kempner. Hi, Lisa.
Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'm Lisa Kempner. I live at 8811 Hawthorne Lane, Winmore. I would echo the comments, Dr. Hacker. I know we've spoken many times about different details, and I know the amount of work that has had to have gone into the considerations that you all have had to unfortunately be in the position of making. My question is related to those details. I did see the survey that seemed broken down into, do you want to be in school or do you want to be home? And for me personally, and this is personal, but maybe it has, echoes for other parents, the analysis of that is very much going to be a function of what those details are for in-person. Will there be, either in writing or some other way, more information on what a typical day in school would look like under COVID procedures? And,
Thanks, Lisa.
I guess relatedly, do you plan to do a trial run of any sort to see what it would look like? Because I know some districts have looked at that and it seems like a really helpful idea.
Thanks, Lisa. That's a great question. So yes, more details about what the day will look like will be coming out tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be to the extent that you're thinking of, but what I can tell you is in lieu of a trial run, what the principals all have done, and some of them have actually taken pictures and have shown, here's what a classroom will look like if we social distance desks. So that might be a way when we develop our health and safety plan that we put that information into the plan so that would be visible if in fact we move forward with opening. So we will get as many of the details out as we can tomorrow, and then if there are additional questions, we'll try to tackle those as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ms.
Lisa.
Kempner. All right, Jennifer Hurley. All right, Jennifer, I think we have you off mute. Are you ready? Ms. Hurley, we cannot hear you if you're speaking.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, sorry, I had to play with
Good
what
job.
my speakers and my microphone are all messed up. Thank you so much for taking the time. Again, I'm Jennifer Hurley. I am at 1900 Lantern Lane. I absolutely want the schools to open if they could safely, but I personally don't believe that there's a good, safe way to ensure that for the community and most importantly for our teachers and staff, that there's a safe way to do that at this point. My big comment that I just want to make sure is documented during this meeting is that here we are in August and we're still holding board meetings through Zoom and not in person because it's not safe. I'm not sure how we can reasonably say that it's safe for a teacher to hold a class with even half of a class size. Is still going to be more people than you have present in your Zoom meeting in your group. So I just wanted to make sure that was documented. I know this isn't a Q&A, but I just wanted to make sure that my feelings were out about that. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. All right, we have more hands up. Let's head to Lee, L-E-E.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Thank you very much. So my name is Lee Aberley. I'm at 528 Jarden Road in Winmore. My comment is in relation to any communications that come out with respect to in-person or virtual attendance. If there is specific, I have a son in the school district. He is at Erdenheim Elementary, and he has an extensive IEP and receives a lot of services. So any communications that come out around virtual or in-person tuition, it would be really good if there is, if there is exceptions around the special education program, you're talking about, example classroom settings. If there's differences between the general ed program and the special education program, please can they be called out? I myself will follow up if not, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of parents that would do the same. So you can probably preempt some of those email communications back and forth if, that could be very clearly stated in any communications that go out from the school district. I'd just like to also add that my son attended virtually the ESY program, and I think the quality of the output from that was very, very good. I was very, very pleased with the amount of effort, the engagement that went on for that. It was much better than the general education program at the end of the school year. ESY was a wonderful experience this year, so I just want to get that on record as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is great to hear. Okay, let's head over to Jess Worship.
Hi, good evening. How's everybody doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
Great. So my name's Jess Worship. I'm a mother, and here I live at 907 Church Road. I'm also a teacher in a neighboring school district. Firstly, I want to thank you all again so much for your time and effort, for the time you've spent making these plans for our students. I know it's an almost impossible task, and I certainly don't envy you guys. That said, I do have a few questions and concerns. Number one, what positivity rate or other data will the school district be using to cancel in-person classes? For example, New York City is citing that a region must be below 3% for schools to operate in person. Do you guys have some kind of data point like that you'll be following?
Jess, actually, it's only one of the indicators. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, the data point from Montgomery County is currently 3.57% as of today, but that will not be the only factor that we take into consideration. We have to look at all the information we have together and make our determination based on that. So no, we will not be using a singular data point and basing our decision on that.
Okay, thank you. Additionally, you mentioned that you really value the input for your teachers and staff. I'm wondering what accommodations are being made for teachers and staff who are high risk for COVID?
That's a very complicated answer because it really depends on the particular individual and the conversation that they have with their HR director. So I really can't answer that in general.
Surely. And finally, are the survey responses that we're being asked to submit binding? Will we be able to change plans as updates are released either by the school district, the CDC, or if cases continue to rise?
Yeah, the survey is not binding in any way, shape, or form. As I indicated earlier, we're just trying to get a sense of where the majority of our population is and get an idea of what they are thinking so that we can more or less use that data to see if it informs our planning.
Okay, thank you. And just one other, I know a lot of parents are currently listening and watching, and I know you guys have a high turnout tonight, and a lot of us are wondering, we've heard a little bit what virtual learning might look like if the school has to close, but is there still going to be a robust virtual learning opt-in for families who are not comfortable with sending their students back for full-time or face-to-face, even hybrid?
If we are open, our plan is to be able to have students participate through the regular classroom with the regular teacher and students.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
it. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Worship. Moving to Megan Ramos.
Hello.
Hi.
So I actually have a couple of questions. One is a follow-up question. I apologize.
Excuse me, Ms. Ramos, would you please repeat your name and your address?
I'm sorry. My name is Megan Ramos, and I live on 106 Yakel Avenue in Erdenheim. I apologize for my voice. I'm not feeling well.
Just real quick, because I don't want to interrupt you. And Mr. King, let's not count this against her time, okay? But we've had a couple of comments that were specific questions for Dr. Hacker, and I just want to make sure, since we do have a lot more comments to get through, that we're capturing these in the form of comments that we can use as inputs. And Dr. Hacker is going to have lots of communications to the full community over the next 2 weeks on exactly what our plans are. So as much as you can help us define what you need in those communications for clarity, that would be probably the most productive way for us to get through all the comments. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
It does, and it actually was my first comment, I guess, is that I just like to know a timeline. Lisa asked a question earlier, and you said that more details, specific details as to what learning would look like would be coming. And I just feel like there's been a lot of wait time.
Megan, tomorrow. I already announced that at the beginning of the meeting, that information is coming out tomorrow, and our decision, my recommendation to the board, is going to be made at the beginning of next week.
Okay, then my concern is what happens when, I am concerned about the quality of education that's going to happen for kids that are at Enfield or Erdenheim that have opted for in-school, and their class or a teacher or somebody has been exposed to the virus and then have to quarantine. I'd like to know specific details and how the plan for uninterrupted quality education. That's my biggest concern right now.
Thank you. That's a huge concern of ours as well. And the primary focus is making sure that the quality of education is a big piece of the plan. Thank you. Okay, let's move to Jennifer Kriska. Hi, Ms. Kriska.
Hello, I appreciate you all listening tonight. I have a concern about actual assessments being done for the early elementary age, especially with reading assessments, because they were not available for the online learning this year. And I completely understand why, because everybody had to go fast. And it was my kids really did flourish with the online. But my concern is there's no reading levels being put out or anything. So if you choose to go online, how is the actual assessments going to take place for the children?
Okay, we will capture that, and that will be part of the educational plan under that.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Ms. Adrienne Clifton.
Hi, my name is Adrienne Clifton. I reside at 1 Shepherd's Way in Glenside. My question was, how do we, like with the virtual learning in the spring, right? We had grades from K all the way up to 12. There was only 2 of us here, adults, that had to help all, 6 kids do the different grades, as well as the same time we had to telework. So it was a lot going on. Is there anything going to be done where it would help us try to have the schooling a lot easier and to meet the deadlines for when things are due for the kids, as well as our peace of mind and being able to work while teaching?
Adrienne, we know that's a huge concern for parents who have to worry about working, watching over their children while they're at home, and trying to manage the work and the assignments and oversight for however many children they have. And that is something that we are working on as well. We're trying to build in more structure, more live interaction to take the burden off the parents from having to be the instructional coaches.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Clifton.
Thank you.
All right, I see Karen Buchanan.
Yes, this is actually Doug Buchanan. I have hijacked my wife's Zoom for this question.
Hi, Doug.
Okay, we live at 62 College Avenue in Flowertown. And I sort of have 2 comments to make. First one, I participated in the Zoom calls earlier this summer. There were some great ideas discussed. A lot of those revolved around, I'm blessed to have children in high school, middle school, and Erdenheim Elementary. So I have 3rd grade, 6th grade, and I have a 9th grader that's on her way to Gwynedd. So part of that is, what have we done to prepare Enfield, knowing that we talked about sending 6th graders to Enfield for distancing? If that's still the plan, what have we done? It's no longer the plan. Okay.
No, it is not.
Okay. So then my concern was, what have we done then in the schools to prepare the school for this new way of life? My daughter's new school, they talked about hand dryers, sanitation, filters in, for the ventilation system. I hope it's beyond just a mask and a bottle of Purell on the teacher's desk. So what have we done to prepare these schools to make sure that they're ready as part of that new safety protocol that's been put in? And then my other concern is related to the lack of transparency in the district, related to the COVID cases that are circulating in the high school population. I expressed those concerns in my survey. In my opinion, if student athletes are on the grounds and they are training, school is in session. So right now we have dozens of positive cases of students, according to parents who have children that are positive. So I don't know why they'd be telling us otherwise. How are we going to communicate that once school is back in session? Is there this continued secrecy where the student just doesn't show up, or is there an email system? I'd like to see that outlined in the plan, because I think this is a fluid situation where, yes, I want my child in school, but if I find out that he's in a classroom with siblings that have all tested positive in the high school, maybe that's not the best place for him to be when he has a brother with special needs that is immunocompromised.
Doug, the best way that I can answer that is, even if school is in session, to communicate information out about positive cases, we would not reveal any student or staff member names.
Understood, but we look, when we had lice, there was a note going around that there was lice in a classroom, and your child may be affected.
We would do the same once school is in session. And
Okay.
I did, by the way, get the figures from the Office of Public Health on the number of positive cases today, and it is significantly less, which is why I shook my head.
Okay, well, and my concern is the secrecy is just breeding rumor and misinformation in the community, which then questions that 70% number that you put into play. So of those people that are now hearing that rumor, does that change the survey? I think it does.
Well, thank you.
Jeff, you're muted.
Thank you. I said, Doug, thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. And let's move to Tracy Smith.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can. Hi, Tracy.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Hacker and board, thank you for taking the time to meet with us this evening and for taking time to let us speak. My name is Tracy Smith. I live at 209 Penn Oak Road, and I have a rising 9th grader and a rising 11th grader. I too also participated in the Zoom sessions that were held last month with lots of ideas. And it sounded like if the high school does return, it will be a hybrid approach. That is correct, right, Dr. Hacker?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. I apologize. I'm in the middle of a family commitment and I was kind of in and out. So I just wanted to make sure that I did hear that correctly. Obviously, I teach in a neighboring school district, and my school district just chose to go 100% virtual. And I know that this is not an easy task by any means. And I do not envy any of you during this time. I know it is very, very difficult. And I also know that decisions are going to need to be made by families, what's best for them. Obviously, the safety is the #1 priority, and academics as well, quality of academics. However, I also want us to take into play the emotional needs of our high school students, friendships, bonding, things like that. So I'm not quite sure. I know you're going to unveil the plan tomorrow. I do, from my understanding, Colonial offered an approach to their middle school and high schoolers that we're going to be going hybrid, that they have the ability to choose which days they're going. So whether it's a Monday, Wednesday, I'm not quite sure what you're deciding on, or a Tuesday, Thursday. I'm wondering if that would be something that you would take into account and consider, so that obviously siblings would be together with alphabet, but also so there could be some sense of friendships and rapport and classmates that they're with, because we do know that that's an important element in all of this as well. So thank you for your time. And if that's not something that you've thought about, if maybe that is something that you would think about considering at the high school and middle school levels as well.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Allison Harris.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Allison Harris. I'm at 29 Weiss Avenue in Flowertown. My concerns are just, first of all, I appreciate being part of this conversation. My concerns are related to what level of input was received from families with incoming kindergartners, and just generally feeling, and possibly, incoming students that are new to the district. But there has been very little communication. I think we first were looped in with an email from Dr. Hacker on July 16th, but we were not a part, that I'm aware of, not invited to any of the Zoom sessions or any of the focus groups. And so sort of like giving information about what's best for our family and responding to this has been difficult, again, because of sort of the lack of communication and transparency with that incoming group. And of course, we don't have the experience virtual from last year. So I guess this is just sort of a statement about how our family is feeling, and possibly others that I've spoken to, but just not feeling completely in the loop and wanting to make sure that we do moving forward.
Allison, thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate hearing, and I want to just respond to you to say that that was not through anyone's fault. We recently moved over to a brand new online registration system, and we also rolled over our previous registration information. And so unfortunately, due to the timing of both of those, it would have been impossible to reach out to all of the kindergarten parents previously, because we didn't have their names and addresses and emails in the system. So it's unfortunately a simple technological reason for that, for not being able to reach out. But from here on in, you will be in receipt of the same communication as everyone else.
Thank you for your response.
Yeah, Ms. Harris, thank you for your comment. We always do appreciate that feedback. And Dr. Hacker, thanks for the context on that one.
Excuse me, Mr. Bedard, I just want to mention, since I did get a comment in the chat from Chris Casaban, who is the head of the secondary PTA. She asked me if I wouldn't mind announcing that next Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. there is a scheduled secondary PTA meeting. I will be at the meeting along with some of our high school and middle school administrators. So we will be available to answer questions regarding the secondary program more specifically at that time as well.
Is that meeting on the district calendar, Dr. Hacker?
I don't know offhand, but I do know that usually Chris is excellent about sending information out about those PTA meetings.
Great. And if you're listening, Chris Casaban, please do. All right, next comment is coming from Ken Ferguson.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ken Ferguson. I live on McCluskey Road in Flowertown, and I just wanted to see in tomorrow's communication from Dr. Hacker clarification or the school district's position on the availability of the school curriculum in case parents or supervisors, as the 1949 Act 14 PA General Assembly statute states, would like to homeschool their children. So I'm looking for clarification as to whether or not the school district would in fact provide curriculum and or material.
Very good. We will capture that as a follow-up question. And Stephanie Fliegelman, excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly.
No, thank you. You actually pronounced it correctly. Thank you. Thank you for taking my hand. My question is first to understand, I believe Dr. Hacker said that as of right now, the virtual plan for the elementary level is to have them continue with the live class. So it would be, I believe she said 1 to 3 students possibly, virtual in a live classroom. So my first question is that going to be equitable practices? There'll be small groups, there'll be peer interactions. The 1 or 2, 3 virtual children, will they be able to participate, or will they be just an additional add-on to that? Which brings to the next point is there some concern of alienation or social emotional concerns along with them being the 1 to 3 students in this live classroom? And the third point is it fair to have a teacher teach 2 different learning models, a virtual learning model, which is very different than an in-class live model, simultaneously? Is that the best practice for all students?
And Ms. Fliegelman, if I could be so bold, and please tell me if this doesn't capture it. What I'd like to do is capture your questions in a comment, which is ensuring that when we are issuing the virtual standards, that we do include a review for equitable practices, and that we're following best practices for the available technology given the circumstances of COVID-19.
That is correct. Now that the virtual learner, according to the survey, is the minority, are they getting the same quality education as their remaining student body?
Okay, thank you for the comment.
Thank you.
I do not see any other hands, and I want to make sure that we don't shortchange anyone, so we'll give it another minute to see if we have any other hands come up. No, honey. That was my elementary schooler that I called honey. That wasn't anyone on the call here. Joshua Williams. Looks like we have one more comment. Mr. Williams, we have you on.
Are you able to hear me?
We are now, yes.
All right, cool. I just wanted to make a comment that I felt as though that whatever comments are being submitted in this current forum, I don't feel as though there's like a great amount of transparency on when action will be taken on those comments that are presented, or at least it being publicized to the public in a way that we can know what your answers are. That was it.
I appreciate that feedback. I think that is one of the areas of I think general confusion on how we treat board meetings. The intent of the actionable meetings, like in equitable practices, are meetings where there's a lot more dialogue, and then we have subcommittees that work on specific issues that are brought to us by the community. So I want to assure you that there is action in the background. This intent is just for comments, for input, but the feedback is really helpful. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
No problem.
All right, let's move to Katrina Borzaleka.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Hi.
My name's Katrina Borzaleka. I live at 211 Allison Road, and just as one of the previous people that spoke, just a comment on, I know if there is the possibility of us going virtual, as the person that spoke earlier suggested, if we were in person, maybe to allow students to be with their friends. Just maybe if we are going virtual, I know just in my conversations with some of my fellow moms in the neighborhood, if we would be able to help each other out and keep some of the kids that might be in the same grade level together, to do, small pods of learning. If we would be able to, coordinate where maybe 3 of our kids that are all in 4th grade or 5th grade, that they are all within the same teacher and getting the same instruction on the same day, so that we could help them in groups, so that we as parents who are doing the same, as everybody, where we're working from home and trying to teach, just maybe a possibility of having that to help alleviate not only, the student stress of learning virtually, but also, the parents with being able to help in maybe a little bit of a larger setting there.
It's a really, really creative idea. Thank you for that. All right, let's move to Chris Casabon.
Hi, good evening. This is Chris Casabon. I'm at 209 Preston Road in Flowertown. So I just want to follow up for those who want to participate in next week's secondary PTA meeting. Please look at your weekly announcements that come out from the high school and the middle school. There will be a link embedded in those two announcements, and the link for that meeting will be in the announcements. Also, and this is a suggestion, maybe in your with your agenda, if you can list the subcommittee meetings that are coming up in the future with the dates, like for the equitable practice as well as the curriculum, so that way, you know, the people that are in attendance that have any interest in those particular committees, they can figure out how they can participate. So thanks.
Yeah.
And thanks for all your work.
No, thank you for all your work. And we do typically capture future committee meetings. We don't have any scheduled right now because the
okay
is focused on solving the COVID-19, our approach to COVID-19. But thank you, great suggestion.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Whitney Devery.
Hi, my name is Whitney Devery. I do not live in the district. I am a first grade teacher in the district. And I just wanted to thank everybody that have made comments tonight. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to speak from my teacher's perspective on some of the comments that have been made tonight that mirror some concerns from the faculty, at least the ones that I communicate with. So I know that there is concern with the faculty as far as transparency as well. And just even from a first grade perspective, if we are going back to school, are the kids going to be able to push each other on the swings? Are they going to be able to share books? Are we going to be able to pass out paper for crafts? Like, what is this day going to look like? Can I approach a student to answer questions? These are all things that have gone unanswered. And I also am concerned about social and emotional support because this is going to look very different and we want to support our students. So I'd like to know what would be in place to train and help not only help the faculty support the social emotional development of our students. And I just wanted to take that moment to voice those concerns that the parents are expressing so eloquently, that those are also concerns from some of the faculty. The final comment I wanted to note was the comment about the equity for students that will choose to do virtual learning if we are also having the in-school model, and how that would work if the teacher is providing instruction in those two modalities. I think that that was a very well said question, and I think we would all like some clarity on that topic.
Great, Ms. Devery, thank you for your comments. And I think what I would want, and Dr. Hacker, if you want to provide more context here, that would be fine. But the health and safety plan would certainly be comprehensive for students and faculty as well, staff as well. And I want to make sure that you do also take the opportunity to express any of your thoughts and concerns with your HR director, more from an employment standpoint, but appreciate your comments here as well. All right, I don't see any other hands. And last call for any other comments. Oh, we do have one from Kelly King. Ms. King, go ahead.
Thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Hacker, too. I do appreciate all the hard work you're doing, and your constant communication is appreciated. I also wanted to thank Mrs. Devery. She's an amazing teacher. and has done a great job throughout. So thank you, Ms. Devery, for sharing your concerns that families also voice. I also wanted to speak back on the equity front and share my appreciation for Josh and the other speakers today. I also wanted to share how disheartened and enraged I am that that is a current curriculum book that our school district has for our 10th graders. And I would implore the board in this comment to ensure they do their due diligence in reviewing that specific text and ensuring that it is removed in all future teaching, whether it is virtual or in person, that no other student sees that text, because that's not representative of an accurate depiction and it shouldn't be what our school district is endorsing. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate all of the hard work, and thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Moon. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to Adrian Clifton.
Hi, I just had a question about the 10th grade book that she was talking about. I missed the title, so I wanted to do some research on it. Could you tell me what it was?
I didn't catch the title of the book in the earlier section when it was shared.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
Looks like Joshua is raising his hand.
Okay.
To answer.
Great. Let's go to Mr. Williams.
Yeah, the book is the history of the United States by Borstein, Boorstin. You should be able to find it on Amazon. I don't know if there's digital downloads, but yeah. If someone's able to, I don't know how the chat works, but am I able to type it in the chat or no?
Yeah, you can type it right in there, and then we're gonna record all that for the comments.
Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
That was 10th grade U.S. history.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we'll do a last call for any other comments. Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and close this section of public comments and non-agenda items. I do want to, a little bit off protocol, ask if anyone from the board wants to make a comment on the comments that we heard here. I do personally want to say thank you to everyone who took the opportunity to share your perspective. That is an investment in your community, and we are really pleased to hear you, and obviously we'll ensure that we're working with the administration to take all the comments into account as we work through any final decisions. And so I really appreciate the engagement from everyone on the call tonight. Does anyone else on the board want to comment?
Mr. Bedard, I just want to echo your comments. I want to thank everyone for participating, including members of the community, the board members, Dr. Hacker, everybody who participated tonight. It's an ongoing conversation that we have that will help us reach the best decision that we can make. And I think we all want the best for our kids and for our community and for our schools. And I think it's an understatement to say that this is an easy decision, and everybody's input is appreciated. So thank you.
Great. Any other comments, guys?
Yeah, I just like to also echo my colleagues on the board's opinions of having everybody come and speak. I also just want to say that, to all those who feel like, there is not enough transparency, I just want you to be patient with us. That this, as you know, or as Mr. Bedard has shared, this is not a didactic experience. This is kind of a one-way experience on the board. We do take in your input and we do hear you, but the more engaging perspectives, just to echo Mr. Bedard, is really our committee meetings, really our equitable practices meetings, and and those will be where we can really engage a lot more. Obviously, with COVID, we are relying on your input, but we are deferring, to our administration, who is really doing a wonderful job, and we are quite, just in awe of all the work that they're putting in. And so we thank you all for your comments, and we look forward to more comments in the next board meeting. So
Okay. Well, with that, let's go through a couple of last administrative details here. Future meeting dates. The regular board meeting is Tuesday, August 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. So also be a virtual meeting. And we anticipate voting on the final plan for schools reopening. The interim board meeting is Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, 7 p.m. That is also scheduled to be a virtual meeting. Board meetings, none scheduled, and they will be determined once we're able to prioritize. And with that, I think we will adjourn for the evening. Again, thank you to everyone who participated tonight. And Dr. Hacker, please give our sincere appreciation to the full administrative team for the work that everyone's putting in to solve this unsolvable problem. But really appreciate all the effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.